Just found out that next bit was GMK. Now we're gonna talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know we like our films a little bit older. Well, I just wanna use my bud tonight. And I don't wanna lose my bud tonight. I ain't got many friends left at Pod 2. Without a co-host, I'm in trouble. You know I'd review anything with you. Pod tonight and post it on the double. I just wanna use my butt tonight. I just wanna use my butt tonight.
I can't say anything
without my notes.
Using my Godzilla mug, you got me.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one.
I like it. Bust it out for a special occasion.
Yeah. I need to get more of those kinds because those are like, you don't have to worry about putting them in the dishwasher or anything. Because sometimes you put a mug in there and the stuff, if it's poorly made, will like start coming off. It's like, I'm coming off. I want the world to know.
I'm popping off. I am Jim Varney's clone. Like what? Dude.
Jim Varney's cool as hell. Everyone's like...
A new low in lyric writing. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
You say that every week. Have we not done it yet?
No?
Ah. It's a good luck charm.
I'm like, until now.
Shit!
I'm walking off.
If you're walking off, never mind. Yeah, so
you're popping off.
I'm popping off.
Jim Varney style.
Why is that such a funny thing?
I don't know, just because the way I interpreted it.
The idea that Jim Varney would not pop off is funny, I guess.
The idea that Jim Varney was like the #1 celebrity in the world back in the 90s. In our opinion, he was.
At a small point, he was very popular.
That's true.
So much so that Disney decided to be like, we're going to give you 6 movies. And then they were like, actually, let's pump the brakes on that. Anyway, this isn't Jim Varney week.
Sadly.
Yeah. Is that a hint as to what we're about to talk about, I guess? This is your pick, so I guess why don't you tell everybody what this is?
Godzilla week.
Yeah.
So, I'll speak for both of us and say we're huge Godzilla fans from all the way back in the day.
Yes.
So I wanted to pick one that, when I watched the whole series at one point.
Yeah.
And I remembered this one as like one of the most outstanding ones.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked it. And then I'd never seen the Godzilla animated series, but I've always known about it.
Okay.
So that's why I picked that. How about you?
As far as...
Why'd you pick
this? It's like...
You'd never seen GMK, right? Or had you?
I thought I had, but when I started watching, I was like, no, I hadn't seen this before.
You'd remember this one.
Yeah. They made a ton of these. These are like James Bonds at this point. Like, they're well longer than that since they've been around for so long. But
and some of them sometimes run together, but I think this is a standout.
I think that was probably the thing. I was just like, I couldn't, like, once I started watching it, I was like, oh yeah, this is different. But, it, you know.
And then the animated series from 1978.
Mm-hmm.
There's 26 episodes.
Kind of surprised there wasn't more than that, honestly. But not because I thought it was specifically great, but with like Hanna-Barbera stuff, it's like there was a lot of like animation reusing, so like they probably could have got away with pumping these out like Scooby-Doo style.
Yeah.
But this was like a thing between, I guess, them and Toho, so it was like, I'm sure they could only do what they were given a lot meant to do.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going on the run with this. Fuck you.
I only remembered my dad used to make fun of this show, how silly it was, and he would like sing the theme song. And Godzuki. Like, it's very silly. Should we start with the animated series.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, I guess.
What'd you think?
I don't know. Have we ever done it the other way?
No.
Actually, you're right.
Let's switch it up. I like this.
Let's switch it up.
I'm just now realizing the voice of Godzilla is Ted Cassidy.
Yeah,
who played Lurch.
Yeah.
What the hell? That's weird.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. Yeah, so
we watched the pilot episode, Firebird.
Yes.
Or Bird of Fire, something like that.
Yeah, Firebird. The penultimate episode of the long-running series.
Huh?
Captain Majors and his crew travel to the center of a dormant volcano to investigate what's causing nearby eruptions. So the whole thing about this is like, this is essentially like Johnny Quest, but with Godzilla put in there for no reason.
And Godzuki.
Yeah.
My new favorite character in the Godzilla
crew of a
verse.
research vessel, the Calico, investigates strange phenomena and menaces that force them to summon the mighty Godzilla, whose clumsy relative Godzuki is also in their care.
It's pretty much like the Batman 60s series. They just call Godzilla to save their ass anytime they get in trouble.
Yeah.
And like do all their dirty work for them.
Pretty much. Which is pretty fucking weird. Yeah, it's funny because I kind of remembered something about this, but I didn't ever really like... These kinds of cartoons were a little bit before our time.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like, you know, all that stuff, like, you know, they had either the ones like Scooby-Doo or like even the goofier ones for Hanna-Barbera, or they had like the ones that were, for the most part, serious, but sometimes had like a goofy element, like I said earlier, like Johnny Quest was like probably the most serious, where it was like, you know, almost like it was a science fiction kind of almost Fantastic Four family that went around and kind of like you know, the family Robinson, like Lost in Space but on Earth kind of thing, where they would go around and, you know, each week there would be a new thing that they would try to investigate and solve.
Yeah, and I guess it was like Saturday morning cartoons for a while, and it was paired with a bunch of other Hanna-Barbera shows. Then there were a few different iterations of it. The first was the Godzilla Power Hour. Then there was Godzilla Super 90. Then there was the Godzilla / Globetrotters Adventure Hour. And the Godzilla Dino Mutt Hour. And finally, the Godzilla Hong Kong Phooey Hour. Better times. Or were they?
Yeah, that was kind of a thing they did. They did that a lot. Where they would, like you said, partner with other Hanna-Barbera properties. And like, because they did that with like Yogi Bear at one point and a bunch of other stuff. And it was like, oh my god, dude, I can't believe this is happening. So, yeah.
And it wouldn't be till decades later Godzilla would face off with Sir Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Speaking of basketball.
And I was like...
I did like the animation, or like the designs were like super basic bitch. Like no style at all. It was just like, they looked like ugly humans.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of what it was. It was just kind of like... None of these people were like goofy looking.
No.
To like, as far as like, you know, oh, this is weird, but like they were, like you said, they were just goofy looking humans, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense. There was no style to him, so it wasn't like Shaggy where he kind of looked like a stoner or something. So
yeah, I mean, after watching this, I might want to check out one or two more, but I can't see myself sitting down and like watch every episode. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't really have like a... This is like something that will come on and you'll like watch it, but it's not like, you know, TV's come along.
Riveting entertainment.
Yeah. A lot of like faces being made in this are just like plain ugly. Like at one point Godzilla looks like this. And I'm like, what the fuck?
That's
like,
weird.
At the end, and then like they're all like, Yeah. And then, like, they stopped doing that, but then, like, the random, like, their assistant guy is still, like stuck with his mouth open, and it's like, but, like, it's like fucking Bowser style, where he's like, yee. It's like, I don't know, and Godzilla has laser eyes at one point in this. I have a feeling they just didn't have the rights to do, like, his actual stuff, so it was, like, very much...
Especially his voice, which I found super annoying in this. It just sounded like an old cigarette-smoking guy going...
Yeah, he was pretty much Lurch.
Yeah. And then the Firebird was even more annoying. It was like...
Yeah!
The last 10 minutes of this episode was pure hell. It was just like...
Yeah, it was pretty fucking shit as far as, like, if you're trying to keep your sanity as a grown human. It was like,
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's something of its time.
It is.
I know we watched the newer one based on, like, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Godzilla based on
the 90s one.
Right. Which kind of had the same thing where, like, they went around investigating stuff around the world.
I remember that being slightly better than I was expecting.
Like
that show.
Yeah.
Or at least the episode we watched.
Yeah.
It was aight.
Yeah.
Not horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't, like, the worst ever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like every time we watch a cartoon from back in the day, especially, like, or even when we watch it from the 80s and 90s, there's not really much to say because it's like...
It's almost like I should stop picking them.
Well, it's like it's literally, there's no story progression ever, so there's nothing to really talk about. It's not like you can say, like, at the beginning this happened, and at the end, like, they learned this. It was like, at the end, they yell at Godzuki again, and I was like, dude, this is horrible.
You can't really do a deep dive on this episode.
Yeah, he was treated like a fucking, like, shit. They, like, yell at him and stuff, and they treat, like, Godzilla like their own personal slave. It's ridiculous. So, if you're, like, a truist of, like, Godzilla, and you're, like, a purist, I guess I would say, then fucking you would probably be pissed, because you would be like, he's being fucking treated like shit. I mean, I wasn't, I was like, whatever, but, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely seen comments about this online where people were like, this is the worst shit ever. Fucking Americans ruined Godzilla. And I was like, dude, chill the fuck out. So
it's a dumb cartoon made for babies.
Yeah. Some guy in his fucking 80s like, oh. My
Not
childhood's
my Godzilla.
ruined. It's like, dude. Anyway.
Godzuki's a fucking Godzuki Sue. I've never saw him train.
Well, his ass is like... treated like shit the whole show. It's like,
what's his power, or like what's he bringing to the team?
Know.
He's just weighing him down.
He can, like, yeah, that was weird. At one point,
meat.
they literally told him to, like, get off the boat so he could go faster.
Yeah,
and I was like,
literally weighing them down.
Yeah, and I was like, huh? And then he, like, was able to, like, catch up to him, and I was like, this is just fucking filler.
Sometimes he can fly, sometimes he struggles to fly.
Yeah. It was like filler as hell. Like, good God, dude, come on.
I feel it's time to move on to the main event.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Thanks for bearing with me on that. I'd always wanted to see it. So.
Well,
now I've done it.
Now you've seen it.
Now I don't.
No, I don't. Hell yeah, dude.
Should we move on to GMK?
Yes.
Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack from 2001. Directed by Shusuke Kaneko, who had done the Gamma Ray reboot series, which was very popular.
Oh, okay.
So they brought him in to do this one.
Nice.
Because the Godzilla series had stalled after the horrible Godzilla 2000, which we saw in theaters.
We saw in theaters, yeah.
And they wanted to revitalize the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I haven't seen a Godzilla film in like forever, it seems like, so like I mean, obviously besides like the ones that we saw, like, you know, like the American one, or like I haven't seen like any of the newer ones they had done yet. I'm sure that'll be one that I'll pick or you'll pick for the podcast coming up or whatever at some point. But like Zero or any of that kind of stuff. But like, I think the one I specifically remember back in the day is you showing me the one where it's literally Godzilla versus like every monster that they could like drag up from the depths
Final
of
Wars
hell or whatever.
And they also ripped off the Matrix with those characters.
Yeah.
They're like diggy 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 diggy.
But that one I remember
lame.
being like probably the best one.
It definitely delivered on the monster action.
Yeah,
for sure. That was supposed to be the big series finale
yeah.
for that like era of the series.
Because they had pretty much like, we're pretty much done at this point. We're going to take a break. So, when was that? That was like 2004.
Yeah. So it was like 10 plus years until Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, that was
actually made a good movie.
That one was legit though. Final Wars.
Yeah, I like them all to various degrees. But I feel like this one delivers on the monster action more so than most.
Which is sad.
Like, the human characters are like barely any. There's not much there in this movie. Like I just watched this a few days ago and I barely remember like what their deal was because I am just blown away by the monster fighting.
There's still a lot in this. It feels like the humans.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some stuff going on in this movie.
I think that's probably, I don't know if that's my biggest thing about like these kinds of movies is like a lot of times I'll watch these and I'll be like, after a while I'll kind of get bored because I'll be like, okay, like I guess are we gonna not ever have a fight, and then when the fight happens it's kind of not great. You know what I mean? That's
true. I don't agree on this one. I think the fighting in this one is spectacular.
Yeah, the fighting in this one's pretty good.
And there's some hilarious stuff.
Yeah. But in a lot of these, I think that's maybe why I haven't gone back and watched a lot of them.
Especially the old ones.
We've watched a lot of them.
Dudes in an empty field in monster suits, and it takes forever.
But it's kind of like the build up is not worth the payoff. You're like, dude, I just sat through a fuck ton. This is essentially like just a drama that I sat through. But this one's totally weird as far as like it's not really, I mean, it's Godzilla, but it's not. It's like the spirits of the people from World War II that are forgotten or something. Like they form Godzilla and are like, you're gonna get fucked because you forgot us. And I was like,
yeah,
it's interesting.
That was pretty cool. Basically ignores every sequel, except the American version because they referenced that. Did you catch that? I thought that was weird. Like they would like legitimize that movie in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there was that incident on the East Coast of America. It's like, And then, did you notice? I think it was a Blair Witch Project reference in this because like the woman was making a documentary and she was like, sometimes in America they make documentaries about witches, and I was like, I guess Blair Witch fever was still hitting the nation.
Yeah, the guy was like fucking shitting his pants too because he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, I mean, all I could think of was like Salem or that. Like, it's not like it happened. It's not like it was something you could do that or around the entire like United States, and it's like, we're famous. It's like,
which we.
Also, there's a part right after that where the guy says, she's like, maybe Godzilla will come here and make this place famous. And he's like, you think? And I was like, dude, why the fuck would you want, like, Godzilla to come here? Like...
Especially this version.
Well, it's like, then he shows up and then everybody's fucking freaking out. So it's like, obviously, that was, like, the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah.
He's like, really?
They're basically hoping for pure evil to...
Right. I was like, what? It's not like this is, like... a timeline where Godzilla is like a good guy,
which is most movies.
Yeah, they've kind of like turned him good after like the first one or whatever. Which
sometimes it makes no sense at all, especially like Godzilla 2000 at the end.
Yeah.
He like kills the main character, and then they're like, he's laying waste to the city, and they're like,
he's
great. Thank you, Godzilla.
Yeah.
There's a little Godzilla in all of us. It's like, dude, he's nuking the city right now. You're done.
What the fuck? Yeah. I thought it was really cool at the beginning though, where like they're underwater And I kind of wish that part went on for a little longer because it was, like, actually pretty scary. Where they're like, what's going on down here? And they kind of discover wreckage, and then, like, they see Godzilla's, like, fin, and then they're like, no, it can't be. And then it starts the movie, or, like, the credits, or the title and stuff. It's like, man, I kind of wish that was a little bit longer, honestly.
That was cool.
But the credits were cool about the showing the like their what is it, skin, I guess, each different monster's like hide or something, and then they would put the credits against them. I was like, dude,
yeah, that was cool. So did you have a favorite monster from this movie?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, they didn't really last all that long. Like, kind of got reamed. I think, I mean, among the four, just in general, I mean, Godzilla's probably, I mean, obviously he's, like, the most popular, obviously, but, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if, I can't really think if I really have, like, a favorite among any of the other ones, really. I mean, like, it was kind of weird because they had Ghidorah, Mothra, and, like, those are obviously big names and stuff. I think a lot of people also think Rodan and stuff like that, usually, but, like, they had, like, the, what's his name?
Baragon?
Yeah. And I was
He's like a D-list
yeah, I was like, this
monster.
guy's kind of, like, fucking, he just kind of came off the bench.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he...
Like, Gigan didn't show up today. We gotta get someone.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, he's a little fucker that, like, burrows and doesn't do anything except for get his ass beat, so...
Gets literally exploded by Godzilla.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite. It's weird because Ghidorah is usually a bad guy, but in
this is the only time he's a heroic.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and then Mothra is usually, regardless, a good monster, and continue the trend here. But Mothra is usually like a protector and stuff like that, and literally is in this.
That's true.
Ghidorah. Yeah, I don't know. What about you? Do you have like a favorite of these three, or I mean, I guess four. I mean, Godzilla's legit, but I guess if you couldn't pick him,
I would pick Godzilla just because I love his look in this movie. They made him look like pure evil.
Yeah.
It's very like different from any other incarnation in the series. And he has like huge vampire fangs.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's got like white eyes and stuff, so it's like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah, there were some effects too where like his mouth was moving around and stuff. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Cool animatronic stuff.
Yeah, it's like scary. I was like, holy shit.
They made him like sinister. The sinister minister.
James Mitchell. Yeah, he's generally like kind of a dumbass sometimes. I mean, a lot of these monsters are just, they're animals fighting, so it's like, you know, you're not expecting, it's not like actual humans, but like in this, it's like he's driven by a force.
Yeah,
which is true. Yeah, I thought that we already talked about it a bit, but I thought that was kind of weird. It was like, so like, because people just decided to live their lives peacefully, like Godzilla came back. That's kind of like, what the fuck does that mean? I mean,
made up of all the souls of the damned from World War II.
But it's like, okay, what are they supposed to do? Like,
I think that's one of the things I like most about this movie is it has a harder edge to it than most of the other ones, and like, you see a ton more humans get killed in this than any other of like until the newest couple. Yeah. But I found it was especially mean-spirited. Like at one point there's that girl with broken legs in the hospital.
And she was like, I'm good, and then fucking he
whips her with his tail and murders her. It's like, good lord. And then later on, one of the coolest parts of this movie is he like lasers those planes. Yeah. And one of the planes explodes. In any other movie, you just see the plane explode. But in this one, like, the wreckage came down and, like, killed a family in a house. I was like, good lord. Yeah. That was unnecessary.
Yeah, I was like, holy fuck.
And then when he's roasting the army, the dude's bodies are, like, flying, like, popping like popcorn. Yeah. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I was like,
They leaned into the human violence.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, it's like he's like a... Almost like Jason or like Freddy or something, because he's
out for
targeting.
Blood. Yeah.
Before, it's like, usually he's like a force of nature. Like, he's like an allegory for, like, you know, that kind of shit. So it's like, but in this, it's literally like, you. And I was like, holy fuck. Yeah. I was like, huh? Why? He's like, you're fucking done. Yeah, it's kind of like a lot of this seems to be set off. They say it because of that, but it seems to really be set off because, like, there's a rise in, like, asshole behavior by people. Like, I mean, there's, like, that biker gang that, like, are fucking up that stuff. Like, those people, like, you know, and then they, like, knock over that, like, statue that's, like, sacred. And then there's that, like, whole thing with, like, the, people that are gonna, like, drown that dog.
Yeah, the kids, as they're partying, is like, let's drown this dog for fun. I was like, good lord.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
That kind of stuff seems to kind of bring things about to a degree. I don't know if that's, you know, but at one point they flash like a manuscript that has like old monsters in it. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a nice touch.
I don't really remember if they ever like really bring that back up though. They don't. To, like,
I don't remember.
Flip through it. They're just like, no.
I also thought it was cool in a lot of these movies. They'll be like Star Trek style, where people are like, "Whoa, Godzilla!"
Yeah.
Like, but this one, that you could tell the set was actually like
Yeah.
shaking around, and people were like falling over and stuff. That was cool. Nice little touches like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of like supernatural stuff in this too, because it's like there's this guy. They're like, some guy was banished to this mountain 100 years ago, where those teenage assholes were killed, and I was like, okay, like,
So he's like 200 years old.
right? It's like a hermit or whatever else. It's like, Jesus Christ.
But he could He could communicate with like the spirits or something. I couldn't.
Yeah,
it was pretty weird.
He seemed to be like, you know, bringing back Ghidorah maybe or something. But all the destruction happening and Godzilla shaking stuff while some guy's pissing everywhere.
Yeah.
I was
Again,
like,
totally necessary.
Jesus. Dude, there's a part where a guy goes to hang himself and then he like falls into the bat cave and that's where he finds Ghidorah, and I'm like Jesus. Also, the branch he chooses, he goes like that, like, oh yeah, this is totally fine, and it's like the flimsiest.
I know, that's not gonna hold, dude.
Come on. I mean, not like I'm like, do it, but
do it right.
Yeah. The main character, her father was there when like Godzilla first appeared in the 50 years ago, and they show like him like running away, and it's like an older Japan and stuff, and they play like the OG theme a little bit, cool. Which was cool. But he's like, you know, it was interesting to see him. He's, you know, younger. I mean, like, oh shit, like, well, he didn't say oh shit as a kid, but he was like, you know, his parents were like getting fucked over and stuff. Do you remember like what's the first appearance of like Mothra and all that? Or I guess they probably named the movie Mothra, right?
Yeah, I think it was early on in the series, maybe the third or fourth one.
Yeah.
It was Godzilla versus the Thing.
Oh.
And I think that's the first one where he lost the fight at the end. Because, like, remember the little babies, like, spray their little goo, like the webbing on him or whatever, and he falls in the ocean, and it's like the end.
Wow.
It's like, whoa.
That was probably pretty big. People were like, holy shit. Who did he fight before that?
He fought the one that's like a dinosaur, like an ankylosaurus or whatever, who's like had this kind of like a tortoise.
Okay.
But that was the one where so that was the second one, Godzilla Raids Again, and it has one of the worst mistakes in film history, because all of the monster footage, they filmed it in slow motion to make the monsters appear bigger, but they messed it up and they didn't realize until it was all the way done that they'd shot it in fast motion. So all the monster action is in fast motion in that movie, and it looks horrible. I'm like, wow. Godzilla raids again.
Our what was it? The Icarus file skit.
Yeah,
We filmed the entire
super
thing in slow-mo. Then I had to like fast forward it, and we had to redub it.
Genius.
Yeah.
It turned out perfect. No one would ever notice anything was weird.
Yeah, it didn't sound fucked up or anything. Our audio didn't completely sound different or anything. Jesus Christ. We learned all those like lines, and then we just were like, So we've got people getting, or like Baragon gets thrown into this helicopter.
Dude, that was a highlight for sure.
They're like, yeah.
Because he's Obi-Wan. He's like, I have the high ground, and he's gonna leap at Godzilla, and he just like does a tail whip.
Yeah.
And right into the helicopter, and yeah.
Yeah, he sends him to like fucking hell, like Jason Goes to Hell style.
Dude, that was awesome.
I was like, good lord, dude.
Because then he like starts stepping on him when he's down, and then he just
Yeah.
roasts him, and he explodes. That was great.
Yeah, the main character like is pretty much chasing Godzilla around like Lois Lane the whole time. It's like, good god, dude. Like she is like determined to fucking
Get footage,
Right.
because that'll allow everyone to learn what's going on and somehow help humanity.
right.
Also,
okay.
go ahead.
We both said also.
Also, at one point, Godzilla, the first time he uses his like atomic breath or whatever, you don't see it, and it cuts to like a school of little kids.
Yeah.
And they see the flash, and you see the mushroom cloud. I was like, dude,
Yeah, I was like,
that is
God.
intense.
Yeah.
Some intense imagery right there, especially against this like a bunch of little kids.
Right.
It's like, holy cow.
No, for sure. They kind of fake you out thinking that maybe like they're gonna get nuked, and then they don't. But
Some strong imagery.
the military attacking Godzilla again and nothing happening is like kind of a staple in these films.
Happens every time. Except I guess in the end they kind of do defeat him.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the only times I can remember I haven't seen all these in a long time, so like you said, a lot of these blend together sometimes. But like usually the monsters end up defeating him.
Yeah.
But like in this, it's like that kind of isn't the case at all. He kind of like gets fucked by the dad of the main character, and then he fucks himself.
Yeah. The military man.
Yeah. MM wing.
But yeah, I mean, once this movie gets started, it's like almost nonstop monster action until the end, with a few bits of human moments sprinkled in. Because then there's basically a showdown between Godzilla and Mothra and King Ghidorah, and he roasts King Ghidorah to death and explodes him.
Yeah.
And then Mothra like sacrifices herself to bring him back or something.
Yeah.
She turns into like a spirit and somehow brings him back to life.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on right now? Like,
And then he turns into like a golden god. What'd you think of that?
and then gets fucked up again.
Yeah.
I was like, I was excited, and then he got fucking killed again, and I was just like, okay. This guy is just fucking untouchable, I guess. Godzilla is usually portrayed as like the underdog in these situations because usually he's fighting against the odds, but in this it's like he's
dominating.
He's the bad guy fighting like against the odds in the other way, which is usually not the case. In stories, usually don't have like a bad guy that fucking is the underdog.
Yeah.
Which is like,
But there was one really cool shot that was like a stock footage helicopter shot of the city, and they like inserted Godzilla down into it, and it looked very realistic somehow. I like that a lot. But I love any time that they have a showdown in like a downtown area, because they build massive models of these skyscrapers and stuff, and they all get exploded. I find that stuff highly entertaining.
The fucking huge ass explosion.
Dude, that was awesome.
I was like, was this really meant to be this big?
It looked like an accident. It looked
right next
super
to
dangerous.
That. Yeah, it was like a guy in a suit right next to a fucking atomic bomb.
I know.
I was like,
it's like they primed it a little bit too hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was great, though. I loved it.
Also, like, I thought it was kind of weird because they, like, shot the screw and they meant to hit Godzilla, but they hit Ghidorah, but when they did it, they seemed like they were happy with it. And I was like, was that, like, a fuck-up in editing?
It may have been.
Because they were like, they did it, and they were like, yeah! And I was like, did you not see...
But then after that, is my only real thing I don't love about this movie is the ending is a lot underwater, so it's real murky.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as exciting visually, I'd say.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Godzilla is overcome with the holy spirits of Baragon, Mothra, and Ghidorah, and is dragged to hell.
Pretty much.
And then, like, fucking, he blows up in his own chest. Because
only after the dude flew into his mouth and like, drove through him, like, fantastic voyage
And for some reason, in his mouth, it was just, like...
a tunnel.
Yeah, I was like, what?
But I didn't see that coming. He's, like, driving in, like...
Yeah, I was like, huh? It was like, he drove into a CG Wonderland.
He's like, Godzilla, your body is a wonderland. He's like, he's like touching himself. He's like, I touched myself. But then he was able to burrow his way out.
Yeah, your body is a wonderland. The old man died years ago. He was 70 during the original attacks, and he was a ghost. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh my god!
Yeah. And of course, at the end, they were like, Godzilla's beating unattached heart is at the bottom of the sea beating, and I was like, okay.
Pretty cool.
So, I was like, what the fuck? That was a weird
Like
ending.
Godzilla's heart will return.
Yeah, I was like, why would his heart be? Was that like the actual Godzilla's heart then, or?
I think so.
So like, because the one they killed
like
wasn't,
the true Godzilla. I didn't think about that. Maybe
because the other Godzilla was like a ghost, right?
Like a bastard ghost.
Right. Damn.
They should have called this movie Bastard Ghost.
Dude, holy
better
shit.
title.
That is a better title. The longest title they have is fucking a shame.
Dude, now we need to write a movie called Bastard Ghost.
That would be awesome. Bastard.
I'm gonna make a note of that.
Dude. Holy shit, that's awesome. Bastard Ghost? That's awesome. That'd be a good band name too.
That's true. We got the title.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
That's true. Or the poster too.
The rest will write itself.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I like the effects in this were really good too for the most part. I mean, there was some kind of dodgy looking.
Mm-hmm. This was
CG.
right at the era where they were dipping their toe into some
It was
CG.
probably like some of the stuff looked like it was by far the worst looking CG missiles or just CG I've ever seen in a movie ever. But then there were parts where it was like pretty legit.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like,
But it's 90% practical effects that are great.
Yeah. It's just the 10% is like, this looks like the worst shit I've ever seen. Dude, whenever there would be a missile and it was in the night, for some reason the missile was like a flashlight. And I was like, what?
Dude, that reminds me, I looked at the goofs, which is always a mistake, and someone wrote, at one point in the pilot says, launch missiles, but they actually drop bombs instead. I was like, dude, come on. Who cares? But I think he technically was right.
They drop missiles instead. Wow. Damn, dude.
Got him.
Fuck, man. Well, this movie sucks, huh?
Yeah, 0.95.
Have they ever done, like, Godzilla versus Gamera?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking.
Yeah. You can only hope.
I always liked that. I've only seen, I think, the one, though, that we watched where it was, like, he goes to, like, Mars and there's, like, a shark with, like, a fucking, like, what's it called? Like a chainsaw for a snoot. And there's, like, there's, like, a alien lady there that's like Japanese somehow.
That's always the funny part about like
Yeah.
those movies in the Godzilla series. Anytime there's alien, they disguise themselves as people.
Yeah. But like the water flows like uphill. I was like, holy shit. I don't know why I thought that was so miraculous.
I love that too. I think that's really cool.
As a kid or whatever. Yeah. But I don't know.
It's one other thing I forgot to mention is I like in these movies when there's blood, because like at one point Godzilla bit someone and like all the blood starts like pouring out.
Yeah, he bites like Ghidorah's neck.
Yeah, I was like,
and it was like
he turned into a vampire. He's a freak.
Pretty much. He was like, the living, I mean the dead. He's like, ha 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 ha, what the heck?
What's it gonna be? Your money? Your life?
Well,
all right, we did it.
At the end of this, man, the kaiju that I admire most met up with Yuri's dad, and now he's toast. I mean, I guess I don't admire him the most because he's the villain in this, but he is my favorite out of all the monsters. I don't know, there's not really any other monster besides Godzilla as far as in the Godzilla verse that I'm like, yeah.
Gigan's always been my favorite.
Which one's he?
He could shoot lasers, he had hooks for hands, and he had a chainsaw belly.
Oh, yeah.
Which is totally practical.
He's essentially like a...
Designed by a 6-year-old.
Yeah, he's like a cheater Godzilla.
Yeah. But I like them all, man. This is my jam.
Nice.
So, I have to go 9.95 for my score.
Damn.
How about
High
you?
ratings. Probably like a 7.95.
Cool.
I enjoyed it, but like, I don't know. It's like I always kind of, at some point in these, kind of get a little bored with the human stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I've only seen this one recently. I haven't seen any of the other ones, so it's been like so long, and I haven't seen any of the new ones. So, like I said, it's just been so long since I've seen like I was at a Bond film, a fucking Godzilla film. But like, usually they pack all the the monster stuff at the end, and that's kind of how it goes. But we'll see.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with these?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
You like?
I just wanted to see if I could find some cool Godzilla
hangers.
And I also went cheap, in case you can't tell.
So who do we have on the back here? I can't even really tell. It's like, what, Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, Mothra, Rodan. Who else is? King Ghidorah.
Space Godzilla.
Yeah. Yeah, what's Space Godzilla again? He's just a Godzilla from space?
Yeah, who like spores of Godzilla's like cells or something went out into space and got radiated and turned into Space Godzilla.
And then what's the other one next to him? The red one.
Titanosaurus.
He's like a Godzilla too?
Basically, it's just another dinosaur.
And then what's the one next to Ghidorah? Is that like the Biolante?
Yep. I can't open this. We need like scissors. Oh, maybe.
Whoa. You got like
a fire Godzilla. That's pretty cool.
Does it say what he is?
Nope. I like this.
I got Godzilla, but I can't.
The classic.
I can't tell. Like, is he just the regular one?
I think so.
He's like,
it's pretty cool.
He's usually all about being blue and or teal on his back, right?
Yeah, it changes up. I think that's maybe from the newer one.
Where'd you get these at?
Just from Amazon.
Nice. It's for his 65 celebration.
Ah?
Which, when is his next celebration? Does it say what?
It was last year. Was the 70th? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is a couple years old then.
Yeah.
Damn, the 70th.
Mm-hmm. He's getting old.
He is. He's getting up there. He'll be
Gonna
around.
need
forever.
AARP.
Do you think he'll always be around? probably. He's like an institution like James Bond or like...
Especially after the last two,
Sherlock
which were
Holmes.
by far way better than anyone that's come before it. Like, they finally started knocking them out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
You can hang that on your tree, trim it with care.
Trim your tree wood.
Trim your ass. So what's on tap for next week?
So, I'm thinking for next week we're gonna do what's it called? Fuck, I forgot to write it down, but I'm trying to remember. Buckaroo Banzai.
Dude, nice.
I've never seen it before, and Nate's kind of been getting on my ass for 1,000 years to watch this film. It was something I think he nominated.
Gotta get him off your back.
Well, he's not. I think he nominated it like when we first started this like 5 years ago. And I just haven't. And he's all even before that.
He's been talking about this movie for like 30
forever.
years. It's a good one.
I've heard nothing but good stuff about it. I just haven't gotten around to see it and watch that. And I don't know. I got to figure out what to pair with it.
Okay.
Unless you have any ideas.
I can come up with something, but I'll let you.
Yeah, I'll figure something out. I was under the weather this week, so I wasn't able to kind of lock everything down until today with the movie idea at least. So I'm gonna do probably a movie and like something short, like a weird watch as well, so it's not too out of control. So
it's streaming on Tubi.
Oh,
God bless Tubi.
Yeah. Time for the 50,000 commercial.
I know.
I like Tubi, like, don't get me wrong, but it's starting to become a thing where
they're
it's
pushing
like,
it with the commercials.
Yeah, it's kind of becoming a thing where it's almost not even worth it. I mean, I guess if
I'd rather pay the $3 to watch it on Amazon if it's available.
Yeah.
Without commercials.
Well, the thing that sucks too with Tubi is like sometimes I'll be watching it and I guess maybe they do this with other things like other services, but like I'll be watching it and say there's like 5 minutes left and I like have to like exit out real quick.
It thinks you're done.
Yeah, it thinks I'm done. It
That's
restarts the whole
infuriating.
thing, and I'm like, dude, fuck off.
Yeah. A lot of streaming services do that.
But or like.
That's why when you came over that one day and I was watching that Robert De Niro movie, I was like, I have to finish this.
Because otherwise,
like 2 minutes left.
Well, you were also talking about that happened to you when you I think you bought like the digital version of like one of the Ghibli films, or maybe it was on Max or something or HBO, and like you said that like they started trying to play another film while the credits were rolling, and you were like, dude. Which is annoying because
it's insulting.
Those films, like, a lot of times credits, they're just literally nothing happens and it's over. But like in those films, they have great music or like something cool be playing like animation, and you're like, dude. But it's what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just another thing to bitch about.
It's just there in the air.
That's true. I also realized your Orange Godzilla has like the old school dinosaur tail where it like literally is like putty. You remember that when like dinosaurs back in the day, their tails were like not, they thought they didn't have bones in them. They were just like turds.
It's a whip.
Yeah.
It's a nay-nay.
It's a But you know what I mean? Yeah. Like they just, I'm like, do you know what I mean? You're like, who are you? But yeah.
Cool.
It's a great pick, man. I'm excited to watch more Godzilla stuff. I had never even heard of this film, so like I thought I had, but when I like looked it up, I was like, I think maybe I thought I had because like around the same time was the other one we watched in theaters.
They pumped a bunch of them out like in the early 2000s
to try to,
and then they stopped.
Be like capitalize on the Millennium kind of deal. What is the one called that we watched? Godzilla, just Godzilla 2000.
Yeah. Great Caesar's Ghost.
Dude, the dub on that was like fucking ridiculous.
And then this is the only time I've seen a DVD where the commentary is by the dubbing group. Like they had nothing creative to do about that movie except for just come up with their own bullshit.
Yeah. I would actually kind of be interested to listen to that because that's like the same thing that happened with like the Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Oh, really?
Where they were like, just took some old footage and just, came up with whatever the fuck they wanted to make it funny. So.
All right.
Do you have anything else to say about Godzilla in general, or?
I think this would be in my top 5 if I had to pick.
Oh, nice.
With the Shin Godzilla and -1 being the top two by a mile.
Yeah.
But I like them all to various degrees.
I'd be interested to see your top 5 list and what the other 2 are.
Yeah, I'd have to think about it for a minute.
Yeah,
but probably Godzilla versus Gigan. I've always been a fan of that one.
Okay, nice. You got one more slide, nice.
Maybe Smog Monster.
Oh man, that one's a classic.
The psychedelic.
I don't know if it's a classic.
Freak
I remember liking it back in the day, but I might watch it again.
It is pretty cool because in that one, the Smog Monster like evolves like in different forms every time he encounters them, so he looks different.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember that one being legit.
Plus, it has an animated sequence in it, which I think is the only time that happened.
Yeah, that movie is like if Austin Powers made a fucking Godzilla movie. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I remember we were watching it, and I was just like, dude, this is so out of control. And then like, oh, none of the other Godzilla films are like this.
Yeah, we were watching it and having a blast, and then at some point the Smog Monster turned a bunch of people into skeletons, and I was like,
yeah, because they were in that disco, like dancing, and then fucking it comes in through the window and.
Like the most horrific moment in the series.
Yeah. They were like fucking James Coburn style, and then fucking the next second they were like Vince Frost in it. I was like, Godzilla's the teacher, so they are the skeletons. It's like, yeah, that was scary. I remember that.
It was upsetting.
Yeah, we were watching it, and I was like, surprised we didn't start crying or something. I guess we weren't like babies.
But...
We're like fucking 15. We're like, you're like, hey, cool.
Until next time. See us on our next episode, Bastard Ghost.
Bye. As you're leaving, please, I have one thing more. And don't forget what I told ya. Just 'cause you're right, that don't mean I'm wrong. A movie we can't agree upon. I just wanna use my butt tonight. Oh, I don't wanna lose my butt tonight.
9.95. Emotion and feeling so high. 9.95. In overdrive. Put your body in overdrive. 9.95.